יונתן פולארד. שלום וברכה.
Shalom, 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 doctor.
How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm happy.
Because you live in Eretz Israel.
Of course.
On our forefathers' land, which we came to after 2,000 years of exile. First of all, welcome. I didn't meet you personally until today. It is a good opportunity to be here in Arutz Tov, in the good channel, in order to start cooperation. First of all, personally, you work for the American administration, for the American intelligence for many years. How much Jewish, in brackets, did you feel then at that time as somebody who was a civil servant in the United States? What was the Jewish component of your being part of what you did over there? What this is in the middle or the center of your being, or some kind of a side dish?
אקטואליה יהודית עולה קומה עם טוב פלוס. הפלוס שלכם, עבורכם, בזכותכם. לדעת יותר את האמת כולה. בערוץ עצמאי, לאומי, יהודי, וחוויית צפייה שלא פגשתם. הצטרפו היום.
My Jewish identity was suppressed. Nobody at all knew that I was Jewish. To the extent that people questioned what my ethnicity was, for some reason they assumed I was Lebanese. I don't know why. It could be because of my nose. I have no idea. But my father, who had been in the army for a long, long time.
In the American Army?
In the American Army for a very long time. And did a lot of intelligence work for them. Asked me not to go into intelligence at all, particularly naval intelligence.
What years did you serve in the intelligence?
It was from the late 70s to the late 80s. My father said if I wanted to be a naval architect, which I had hoped to be, he said that was fine. But he said, if you get into intelligence, he said, especially in naval intelligence, he said, you will eventually have a crisis in your own life between your loyalty to not so much the United States, but to your organization that you're working with, naval intelligence, and your identity as a Jew. Not even with regard to Israel, just your identity as a Jew. And he said, don't
Why
face
should
that.
it be a contradiction?
Because the Navy, I found, when I was active, to be one of the most anti-Semitic organizations I'd ever encountered.
What's the connection between intelligence and anti-Semitism?
Because the
people?
The people and the attitude towards Israel. It wasn't that the people were anti-Semitic because they hated, let's say, American Jews or just Jews in general. There was this very deep-seated hatred of Israel. And it reflected back or bounced back on American Jews or Jews in general. I'll give you an example if I can. When I went into the naval intelligence, we had an exam, more or less, where we had to pick or we were given, rather, events to analyze with all sources. So as luck would have it, I was given the Liberty Incident. And I groaned inwardly.
1967.
In 1967. So I was given access to all source intelligence, everything. And about 2 weeks later, I presented my conclusions. And my conclusion was that it was an accident, mistaken identity, everything that we know it was. And it was all there, proven, in the raw intelligence and in the, what we call the finished intelligence work that was done, all source. And I presented the reasons why. And the officer who was supervising this test looked at me and said, "Whose side are you on?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, as an intelligence officer, I'm on the side of truth.
Wow.
No matter where it goes. And he said, "I'll keep my eye on you."
Wow.
That was my introduction.
Some 37, I think, people got killed in the Israeli
A little bit more than that. There was another incident where, as you know, the U.S. and Israel has an intelligence sharing agreement.
I was part of it.
Okay. I was placed as a Navy representative in the committee that met from time to time with Israelis and Americans. And it was horrible because it wasn't that I was told to prevent certain information from getting to Israel as part of the sharing agreement, quid pro quo agreement, but that I was actually told to lie about certain things. And when
You were told
directly to lie. And when I complained about this, all the way up the chain, so to speak, about one particular matter that was very important for Israel, the response I got on 2 occasions, the first response was, let them lose a few airplanes and they'll figure out how to jam whatever is threatening them. And I have family here, so they're talking about possibly one of my cousins being killed. And second of all, this matter of gas, poison gas. I was told point blank that, I was a young officer and I didn't understand that the Jews are very sensitive about gas. Not Israelis, Jews. And just don't worry about it. So it came to a head when there was a team, an Israeli team coming to the United States to ask about what was suspected to be a very large poison gas manufacturing facility in Iraq. And I was asked to do a parallel examination to see if what we were told officially by people like Caspar Weinberger and others in the Pentagon was consistent with the truth. So a week later, I was in a safe house in Washington. The Israeli team came and they told me point blank that they were told no such facility exists.
In Iraq?
In Iraq. And I said, you sure about that? You got the English right? And they said, yes, quite sure. I said, come. And we went into a room, a bedroom that was clear. And on the floor was a mosaic of very, very accurate pictures, not taken from the ground or in the atmosphere, of the plant that didn't exist. It was, at that time, the largest poison gas facility in the world. It eclipsed anything the Russians had, or Soviets at the time, what they had. And one of my Israeli colleagues, after looking at that picture, looked at me and said, Yonatan, it's sometimes better to deal with reliable enemies than unreliable allies. And there it was. So my father was right. And I reached the point where it wasn't just a conflict with my identity as a Jew. It was a conflict with my it was professional loyalty to the truth. Right. And one last thing, I had already, because of my experiences in naval intelligence, realized I didn't belong, not just there, but I didn't belong in the United States anymore. There are some Jews who are destined to go home, and there are others, unfortunately, that either can't or won't go home. And I fell in that former group of a Jew that should have gone home.
Means here. And then happened what happened with the information which you were accused for bringing, and we'll not get into this because I believe you are not allowed to talk about this.
I do want to say one thing about that, though. There's been a lot of disinformation put out about what that information concerned. The information, this disinformation was put out both to undermine my character and the truth, but it was also disseminated to call into question the reliability of Israel as an ally. Because at the time, a Soviet mole by the name of Aldrich Ames in the CIA was decimating the CIA network in the Soviet Union. And it was Aldrich Ames that fingered me as the source of the information. And so everything that was subsequently attributed to him was initially attributed to me and Israel. I tell people, in conclusion, if you want to understand what I didn't do, look at my indictment. My indictment says two very important things. One, that I spied for a major non-NATO ally, Israel, without intent to harm the United States. This is very important. This is critical because, as you know, in intelligence work, there is some information which is so sensitive that it should never be shared with anybody outside of approved channels. And if it is, it could do incalculable damage to the national security. In that case, the criminal or the foreign agent should be indicted for intentional harm to the country, because he should have known that it would do damage. Well, I wasn't charged, so you can draw an inference that there was certain information, there was a cutoff. There was certain information past which, in terms of sensitivity, I didn't go. The information, in conclusion, that was involved in this affair was information that should have been shared with Israel, but had been withheld, not for intelligence reasons or for, let's just say, because of its sensitivity, but because of political reasons.
Yonathan Pólard. I would just like to ask you something about getting closer to Judaism. When, how, what made you?
I grew up in a typically confused Jewish household in America. We were traditional, and my mother, Aleh Shalom, had a glatt kosher home, but we ate out.
Everything?
Everything. And we drove to Shul, the Beit Knesset, parked around the corner, of course, and walked with everybody else. But there were certain things that I knew I shouldn't do. What were they? Lo chazer, no pork, no meat and milk. Don't marry a non-Jew. There were things like this. And daven, once, twice, maybe 3 times a day. Okay. Over the years, because of the nature of my work, I went off the derech, seriously off the derech. I never ate pork. I mean, there were important things in my life that I didn't do, and I tried to go to a Beit Knesset quietly so no one would see me. And one day, after I was sentenced, well, actually, very shortly after I was arrested, the Americans understood I wasn't going to talk. And so they renditioned me. That's what it's called. They disappeared me to a facility, and I don't know where it was. Yeah, up in the mountains, because my ears popped and it was cold. And they wanted to know who my team was. And I was educated by my parents never to moser another Jew, ever. So I didn't say anything. And after 6 weeks, my back was broken in 4 places. I have a plate in my head. My joints were broken. My back was broken in 4 places. I was raped for 6 weeks. A rabbi at Merkaz Harav asked me what I was davening for at the time. And it struck me as odd because I'd never thought of that. But I was asking God for the first time in my life for a favor. That I should either die quickly or that I should keep my mouth shut. And Baruch Hashem, he honored one of those requests that I made of him. Later, when I went to prison initially, I still hadn't talked. So there was a special prison they sent me to. I had never heard of it before. It was out in the middle of nowhere. And it was 150 meters down. My cell was 3 square meters. There were 31 other men down there. I never saw them. And I was told when I was about to descend that there are 2 ways of leaving. You can leave as an old man in a body bag, or you can talk. Okay, so they shut the door, and I had my first serious conversation with Hashem. And I said to him, I can't do this on my own. I need help. So if I stop doing these 5 bad things, and I start doing 5 appropriate things for an observant Jew, please save me. So time went on. Before I came down, I talked to the head of the prison, and he told me these terrible things that were awaiting me. My mind would work against me, you know, everything bad that would happen in sustained isolation was going to happen to me. And I said, I don't think so. God runs the world. No, you know, we'll see. He said, well, yes, we'll see. So after a while, the door opened, and I walked out, and the first thing I asked was, what year is it?
Year.
Year. And it was 7 years later. And I asked, are my mother and father alive? And they said, yes. And I looked down the hall, and all the doors were open, and I said, what happened to them? They said, they all committed suicide. So I said, so I'm the lone survivor. And they said, yes. I said, Baruch Hashem. First time I ever said it. So when we came up, literally into the light, that same commander was there. He was a Goliath. He was huge. And sometimes, Dr. Kedar, I have a problem with time and place. Yeah. This was the wrong time, and this was the wrong place to look up at him and say, you see, God runs the world, not you. So he knocked me out. I lost a tooth. And when I woke up, it was the sweetest pain, Al Kiddush Hashem, I had ever had in my life. But that was my return to the derech. That was my return to the path. And the next prison was even worse. It was a killing field. And there, God was beside me the whole time. Esther, Alei Shalom, my wife, who was my morah, taught me about fear of heaven. And she told me, as long as you stay loyal to Hashem and understand that Yirat Shamayim is the only thing you have to be afraid of. You have to be afraid of heaven to do the right thing. She said, you'll survive. No matter how big the person is or what weapon he had, or if you're starving or you're sick. All of these things, by the way, that I experienced over the next 23 years. She said, as long as you have Yirat Shamayim, you'll live. And she was right.
What do you say today about what happens here inside Israel, within the Jewish people, the rift between left and right and all these things? How do you look at this?
I have to see it within the context of Jewish history. Mm-hmm. And we have had this rift going all the way back to Cain and Abel.
Okay.
Okay. Am I my brother's keeper?
Right.
We had this most dramatically shown during the Exodus with the night of darkness, where people keep forgetting we lost most of our people that night.
4/5.
4/5. We had the Erev Rav that came out that plagued us ever since. We had the spies, the Meragalim, that cursed the land. And we've been suffering for that since that time. Correct. So when you go down history and you look at what happened with the Babylonians, when you looked at what happened with the Greeks, when you look at what happened with the Romans, and then later, the rift between the Zionist camp and others within the community that didn't quite appreciate the importance of coming home. We've had these rifts. The problem is that right now, these rifts are life-threatening, seriously life-threatening right now. As far as the left is concerned, I believe very strongly that they are equally responsible for the disaster that happened on October 7th. And why do I say this? They tore this country to pieces. They gave the impression that the army, our sacred army, was either incapable or unwilling of fighting.
Incapable because it is
because I did what I used to do in intelligence. I did an analysis of events and what the enemy was saying about them. And I had a PowerPoint projection of all of the incidents that were happening leading up to October 7th with the Kaplanistas and all of them, even with Yoav Gallant and Halevi saying, you know, oh, we can't, you know, force discipline in the army because, you know, all of these things, I listed them as they happened. And then I had 3 other columns, what Hamas said, what Hezbollah said, and what Iran said. And my conclusion at the end of paper after paper after paper was, war is coming. And it wasn't because of anything Benjamin Netanyahu was doing at that point. He's responsible for other things, but I don't want to get into that right now. The left pushed the timing of that war. War was coming, okay? The only question was when. And this rift did it. Now look, when I actually was asked to talk to 4 officers who were very prominent in pushing the idea that they would not fly airplanes in the event the Judicial Reform Act was passed, that their patriotism was qualified. And so I sat down with them and I said, do you believe in a Jewish state? And they said, no, we believe in a Jewish and democratic state. And I said, well, with all due respect, you don't know much about Judaism, and you definitely don't know anything about demokratia. So I said, let me ask you another question. Did we have a legal, honest, credible election in this country? Yes. Okay. And did you lose? Yes. I said, then get over it. And their answer was very interesting. They said, no, people like you, and they meant because I have a kippah sruga, or just a kippah, don't have the intellectual capabilities of running a 21st century country. Oh. And I said, really? I said, I went to Stanford and graduated high up. I went to MIT and graduated high up. But I'm not intellectually capable of running a 21st century country? Really? Be'emet? They said, no. You're unsophisticated. Mm-hmm. So I said, I don't understand your concept of democracy. We're free to vote as long as you agree with the conclusions?
Of course.
Yes. And I suddenly understood what happened in 1948 with Mapai and Ben Gurion, where if you didn't have that little red card, well, you didn't count. So this notion that we are a democracy here,
only as long
as it's approved by the left.
Right.
Now, I know a friend of mine is Simcha Rotman, and he is he's a fantastic guy. If I want a good intellectual conversation, I call Simcha, and it's wonderful. He makes my brain work. He's a wonderful guy. And what he's trying to do is to make this country into a democracy,
of course,
worthy of the word. We're not, but the issue here, and this gets now to the hostages, the issue of democracy and the threat to democracy and the issue of the hostages have nothing to do with democratia, the defense of democracy, or the need to secure the release of our hostages. It is purely designed to topple a democratically elected conservative government. I'm not even going to say it's directed at Bibi Netanyahu, because it isn't. He's just the most apparent target. What they're going after is the whole notion of representative democracy. This country is turning conservative. There's no question about it. Because of
demography.
Because of a lot of reasons, most of whom, Baruch Hashem, people are waking up to the threats we're facing. So I think what people have to understand, and I really touched a nerve with this when I initially was reported on Channel 14 that I had said I'm sick and tired of hearing the left talk about the hostages. And some of them have to be locked up. Why? People have said to me, well, Jonathan, when your wife, alayhi salam, was holding demonstrations for you, you didn't tell people to be quiet. I said, there's a difference. When you're in war, everything changes, and you have to pull together. And the most important thing in war is to win. At all costs, win. And so, to the extent that these people are preventing us from winning, preventing us from focusing on the need to annihilate, not defeat, annihilate Hamas, they are aiding and abetting our enemies. This is why when I walked by a few days ago, a group of these protesters, screaming and yelling, we lost 6 people, we have to pull out of Gaza, we have to do whatever they want, give them whatever they want. I just looked at them. They knew who I was. And I said, Boker Tov, Hamasnikim.
Of course.
They didn't, and they couldn't say anything to me. If you aid and abet an enemy in times of war,
of course,
for whatever reason, you are an enemy of the state.
No doubt. I have a little question. How would you assess, in short, the relations between the United States and Israel at this time? And we are approaching elections, and we are here at a war with Gaza, possibly in Lebanon. How do you see this alliance between Israel and the United States vis-a-vis this situation?
A lot of people were surprised when, after October 7th, anti-Semitism in the United States and in the West
surged,
became acceptable. It was always there, but now, for some reason, which we can go into later, it became socially acceptable. But it was always there. As far as the relationship between Israel and the United States is concerned, basically the same thing, in my opinion, happened. The animosity towards Israel was always there. But for one reason or another, it was not
hidden.
It was suppressed. It was not politically or socially acceptable to express this animosity. Now, after October 7th, and one more important thing, the radicalization of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
This is the number one thing. We have a red, which is the woke, progressive, green alliance, which is the Islamo-fascists. You have this new alliance now. And to the extent that they have taken over the Democratic Party, and that they've also taken over the understanding of what we are as a people and what we're doing here and what our claim to the land is in the media. So progressive politics and the media that was always opposed to us, you now have a line in the sand in terms of the relationship between Israel and the United States. If you read Yeshayahu, if you read Isaiah, we're told in there, don't rely on Egypt. They're a weak reed, so to speak. Well, it's the same thing now when people say to me, Yonatan, what will happen if Harris wins? And isn't it better if Trump wins? And my answer to these people is very simple. We don't know what kind of president Trump would be to America, to Israel, because it's only in the second term of a president that you really understand where that man stands with regard to the American Jewish community and Israel. He never had a second term. Second of all, Trump's understanding of the issues here is transactional. Everything is real estate. This land was given to us by HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Right.
Okay? We didn't buy it from somebody. Well, Avram did buy a tomb in Hebron.
David also.
And David also. But the bottom line is, our relationship to this land is like no other people's relationship to their land. And the Americans fundamentally, unless they're religious, Christian religious, don't understand this relationship. Okay. So going forward, I say to people, okay, Harris win. Let's say Harris is going to win. Chas v'shalom. What does this mean for us? What does it mean for us? And I just in conclusion, I say two things. One, we have to dedicate ourselves to military self-sufficiency at all costs. And number two, we have to finish our enemies off now. Achshav.
Jonathan, thank you so much for coming to the Tov studio. It will be continued. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Tova וחתונה טובה.
Amen.
אקטואליה יהודית עולה קומה עם טוב פלוס. הפלוס שלכם, עבורכם, בזכותכם. לדעת יותר את האמת כולה. בערוץ עצמאי, לאומי, יהודי, בחוויית צפייה שלא פגשתם. ועכשיו, בטוב פלוס. המתפכחים, הסיפורים האישיים על המעבר מהשמאל לימין הפוליטי. המפורסמים שגילו את היהדות. על המחיר והרווח, על האמת והסוד, שהם לא ידעו שהם לא יודעים. הצטרפו היום.